Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am Diced Ham, and this is Godtear ATX. We're here tonight for another Strat Chat, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, MrFishopolis. Hello, MrFishopolis.
Hello. It's nice to be home here, both here and in the Hexes.
Thank you, thank you. So we thought tonight we would talk about the origins, the races, for lack of a better word. Might be more of a nationality, but just the seven dividing categories of champions that kind of came
Biological
up.
persuasion,
Yes.
whether you feel undead today, little goblin-y, whatever.
I think I did feel undead today.
Well, it's Monday.
It's Undead Monday, famously.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but there's a new tournament coming up on the Discord. That's the Clash of Origins, where people are going to be taking war bands of a single set of four and competing those against each other, which is actually coincidentally something that you and I did on our own a while back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we like to keep Godtear weird.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Mission
we
accomplished.
do just have like lots of, drafts that are made for reasons other than strategy,
Yeah.
just to see how things play. And we ran ourselves through that tournament. I want to say right after Skullbreaker came out, right?
That's
There's definitely
probably
no
true.
Fenra when
No,
we
for
did it.
sure. This was a while back. There was no Lily, I
Yeah,
don't
there was no
think.
Lily.
So there were definitely some substitutions. It's like
Yeah.
incomplete teams. Like I think in Origins, the new upcoming tournament, they're going to let whoever plays goblins, you get to bring a fourth
hmm
to fill out that kind of thing, which we did a fair amount of to fill in. There were even more empty slots at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, because would Jack have been out then? Jack
I
wasn't
don't think
around
so
either,
because he was
right?
after Skullbreaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, it might have been after Jack then, because I feel like Jack did play.
I don't recall. That was before we started recording
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
But we did do it. We played through. We kind of randomly chose races and played them against each other and did a whole little bracket.
We did.
Uh, yeah, and
And we also changed drivers for those brackets,
so
or
you
for those
wouldn't play the
teams. Like
same,
you didn't play the same team.
right,
Um,
to democratize it.
yeah, exactly. I think on ours, monsters won. It came down to monsters versus goblins.
Yeah, goblins were in the
Um,
final.
Goblins were in the final. I know. Yeah, that was actually super interesting because you think goblins sort of have such a weakness, and not really being able to plant if they want to do all their damage and all this other stuff.
Yeah,
Because they work opposite. So, you know, I mean, goblins are like salt. You want some in like tons of team comps, but you don't
right.
want to just eat a spoonful of salt.
That was
And
the
I
one
was
I was.
wrong.
You were wrong. They did so well.
Yeah, they did.
Maybe it's one of those things where like it starts out as a bad idea, and when you overdo the bad idea, it becomes a good idea.
Mm.
Um, like
You can have
a,
salt lollipop there
a
anytime soon.
Simpsons rake joke of composition. But I think let's talk about goblins because they're the really
They're the
kind of the
weird ones.
outlier, the weirdest set in this breakdown, and they're the only ones that I think people really are kind of conscious of not taking too many of them. You never hear somebody say like, "Oh, I've already got Kira, so I don't want Shale," or anything like that because you're afraid of taking too many humans or too many, elves. But people will do be like, "Oh, I don't know, I've already got a goblin." I've done that.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
think dwarves
yeah,
are
good.
another one for me, just because they're so slow that if you have too many dwarves
That's
in one point
true.
standing, you
Scenario
sort
dependent.
of you make yourself sort of vulnerable to any sort of push or anything like that.
That's true.
Because I mean, Lily would just blow a hole through all the dwarves.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, I think like with me, I also try not to bring too many dwarves to one party.
that's a good point. Okay, so
Learned that
let's.
lesson in college.
uh, let's talk a little bit more about goblins? How do you like them? How do you feel about them? What do you think their strategies are?
I like them just because I like the weird stuff. I think
Mhm.
it's interesting. I really try to think functionally about tempos, which is something you think about in chess. And I think that goblins give you a lot of tempo,
Mm.
and you can really set yourself up well for the clash phase there. And it's nice to be able to control how somebody else is moving into the clash phase, but the clash phase just then feels pretty bad
It
because
does.
you just basically are running away or trying to like set some stuff up. I mean, most of the heroes will have an attack in
Mhm.
that, but it's usually not that great. I think my favorite goblin all in is probably Sneaky Pete. Just super hard to hit, pretty mobile. I think his followers are good. I love I love the flavor text on the "Let me do it."
Let me do
It's
it.
one of the most perfectly written, pieces of just flavor text in any game.
Yeah, the little.
How you have like 5 goblins just pulling on a lever trying to aim something. But if it
Yeah,
hits, man, it's gonna, do a lot of damage. But
yeah.
I think that that's great. What about you? I mean, let me. What your favorite goblin is? Got to be Jack, right?
You would.
Or
I
did
actually
you
think
go
I
with
like Pete
Jack?
better, but I
Oh,
do.
get up! I'm telling Jack.
I
I
know.
don't see you. I don't see you up there being the #1 Pete player in
I
the world.
was, and somebody, I think Dave took it off me. So I got to get that back at some point. But yeah, I do. I like them a lot, particularly Pete and Jack. I don't play Jean as much. I really like her in concept, but in practice I don't end up getting as much out of her as I wish I did. I think I just don't make something about my strategy is not working with her. But I really like Pete and Jack. And Jack, I get pretty good use out of because I think what you're saying. I think these guys are one of the most lopsided. Like they're really good in the plot phase, and then just okay in the clash. Largely, not that you can't get things out of them, but they're really really loaded into one phase, and so it's scary to take multiples of them because then you're doing so little in the back half of the turn.
It's
But
sort of like it gives your opponent the ability
to
to
undo
sort
what
of
you did,
decide to win or lose the turn.
yeah, it feels
Because they
wide
can,
open.
because there's always a certain point in a phase where you have to start calculating whether you're going to dump ultimates into it and try to take this turn, and whether or not you can set yourself up for the next turn or anything like this. And as those actions move down, like dwindle, your options obviously do the same. And so sometimes you're like, it's turn 2. Do I like want this? Do I want to try to set up for turn 3? I'm going to hold on to these alts. Or I'm going to do this. Or I'm going to do that. Like
Yeah.
just ultimate management where
Oh,
it
sure.
doesn't feel like you have the same amount of control. Sure, you can use your alts, but they're all you got. You know what I mean? Then you have to burn alts if you need to make up a bunch of points. You know.
Sure. That's true.
So it feels like you have a little less control in the clash phase about scoring on that ladder, which
Totally.
which makes me nervous. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're leaving it to chance a little bit. Uh, so yeah, goblins. Overall, I like them a lot. I think they're super fun to play. Um, I think one of the reasons Jack works really well is the follower banner plant lets
Yeah.
him get even more out of the
Yeah.
first half of the turn. But yeah, these guys as a team, it'll be interesting to see how far they go. I do think it could, if you get a really good shaper with them, I think they could go far. They went super far in ours, which surprised me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Monsters beat them.
yeah, but they were in the final.
Monsters, I think, is probably the overall strongest class altogether.
Do you think? Okay,
That's
yeah.
my that's my thought.
Number
That's
one strongest
Sorry.
because you get right. So let's talk it through. That's Rangosh, Half Tusk, Wraith Marid, Fenra.
Yep.
Which is a very strong foursome. All of them considered, I think, near the top of their class. And I really like Fenra. The addition of Fenra makes this a really strong list. I mean, you already had Rangosh, Half Tusk, Wraith alone is a super strong
Yeah.
threesome.
Yeah.
And then adding the option of Fenra in there. I wonder how much this feels like a team that doesn't do a lot of synergizing. Like they're each just
They're
going to be
also
doing their own
free
thing.
agents, though,
Yeah,
which is nice because then you don't have to. Because sometimes I think people get so into the synergies, but you need so much things to go right to make a synergy work. And so, sure, maybe you can hand out that speed boon, blah blah blah. Like that's why I think Morgan's tough because you have to spend a lot of resources to
yeah,
put resources into her to actualize her. So, I mean, some people do it and to great effect, but it requires so many things, and when you have a machine, the more pieces like that you have, the more potential for breaking down. So, if you can cap these things, if you can run, somebody like Shale or something into her and just take off all of her boons or whatever it is, you have a lot more places for that to fall apart. Where these guys, they're all pretty self-sufficient, and also with this, so like unlike the dwarves or something like this, you have people with like all over the place in terms of mobility here. They're basically all pretty mobile,
yeah,
even
yeah,
old half tusk over there. He
yeah.
not
He's
only
got that
has
extra
mobility,
move
yeah, exactly. He
with
has the
the
ability
hit
to
effect.
yeah, to move people as well with the Frogletites
True,
with tongue lash.
true. Okay, so yeah, the monsters overall strong. This is a team that takes a lot of damage, can absorb a lot of damage. Uh, they're all fairly tanky. Even Fenrir's more of a dodge tank, but and they're all relatively fast, as you mentioned, and pretty high, really high health pools overall. Other than that, I don't. There's not a whole lot unifying this class or
Yeah.
race.
I feel like goblins and dwarves probably have the most unity across them in terms of what they are built to do, you know?
Mm,
Um, elves, which that includes like Lily and stuff,
yeah,
right?
that's Lily. Yes, Lily
Like
Kaylin.
Lily, yeah. Um, I don't know. There doesn't feel to be the same amount of uh like similarity between all of those
Yeah,
characters, you know?
there's some. I mean, they're all fast. They're all dodgy. Finvar and Loristan had the same movement.
Finvar and Lorsan, I think, are the two most similar in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess they're technically those are the two. They're both elves, and the other two are also wilds, but not elves.
Forest dwellers.
They're forest,
They're countrymen.
nymphs and centaur. um,
Though it is interesting, like with the elves here or whatever, they have a lot of hit effect movement, right?
true.
Lorsan moves herself, Finvar moves you, Lily, that's all she does is push you around, you know?
Yeah,
And uh Kaylin can do
Kaylin
that
can
too,
push and
conjuring hooves and
drag.
yeah, exactly. So they sort of have a baked in movement effect, though, you could say the same thing about the monsters.
Do they all have some movement? Yeah.
some ability to move either self or other people. A lot of that's follower based though, you know, like half tusks, boss lines.
True. Hmm. Let's see. Damn, I stalled out.
you just you just started thinking really hard
I did.
about movements and hit effects and stuff
I
like that.
did.
Yeah. The monsters, I mean, the monsters have a feeling of coming towards you, you know? All of them.
Oh, yeah, that's an
Great
aggressive
Squid,
origin
yeah,
for sure.
Rangosh, Half Tusk. They're all sort of moving towards you.
Yeah, true. Just an aggressive, disparate group.
Mm-hmm. They're ugly motherfuckers. I mean, nobody's got anything on old Grimgut there.
No,
The
my
old
boy.
bag of hips. Yep.
So good.
Really? Your boy?
Among several boys. Yeah, I like my
Yeah,
Grim
I
Gut.
mean, Grimgut, Titus, Fenrir. You have what you like just are in love with half of the Maelstroms.
Uh, and I can't. They're also good. I can't pick one. No. Okay. So let's say let's talk about the revenants. I guess is the term for the undead. So that's going to be Grimgut, Morrigan, Styx, and Mournblade. How do you feel about the revenants overall?
uh,
Are you reaching for these guys?
no, I'm really not.
No.
I'm really not because, I feel like Morgan is too high maintenance.
Yeah.
I think that Mournblade is a specialty deploy.
Mm.
You use them in like very specific scenarios, etc. Just because even as you see, like if we're talking about the monsters or something, if you have these whole classes that also have these built-in movement abilities, you are going to really hamper how efficacious the nightshades are going to be.
Sure. Yeah.
Uh,
There's maybe a few too many ways to slip out of those. But they're so fun.
they are.
I do love Mournblade
They are. I
and
mean,
Grimgut.
but that's why I think he's like a scalpel or something. You want to use
Sure, he's a
him,
precise
gotta
tool.
set him up, you gotta do all of this stuff. Morgan, the same. You have to really work to set her up. Styx is great. Like
Yes.
great at holding a lane. Really against anybody because you just can't push him. And that being able to reposition.
Yeah, Styx is a shaper I keep going back to for a lot of reasons, but I think one of them is he doesn't have any bad comps. Like you always, whoever you pair him with, he can like sit in a lane and just handle it.
Yeah.
And so he's great with anybody. Uh, I think you're right. Morgan just is a lot of work, but I imagine you would run. I mean, Grimgut, Styx, Mournblade. That's very interesting. That's very control heavy. If you're using the hounds to drag nightshades around and drag wrestlings around, that could be interesting. There's not a lot of damage output there. Even when you bring in Morrigan, she's not the most damage heavy Slayer.
Yeah, for sure.
So this origin could get a bad, on death. I don't know if I like it very much.
Yeah, but it's also, you have to, in that comp, you have to work and try and get all these boons onto Morrigan. What are you going to give her? You're going to give her the speed?
Right.
Okay, good. Nice.
Well, yeah. Well, then she becomes a crusher, but then you've got a team of.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what you want to use the dogs for, or you want to
Yeah.
use
Yeah. You've got that covered here.
somebody else.
Yeah. Like I said, like this on quest or something. I could see it.
Even
On
Mournblade's pretty freaking fast.
he is he is
He just
secretly
sailed all
very
the way
fast.
across the
Yeah,
board.
that's true. If you
Went from
use
one end to the other.
yeah, that's right. I think you had him with Fenra or somebody. He
Yeah,
covered the
sailed by on his
entire
little.
board
Yeah,
horizontally in
exactly.
one place.
See ya.
um, yeah, so that's I like all of these champions individually. I'm less so Morgan, but I
But
like all of
sounds
these
like
individually. But I don't know that I want them as in a group. I think they're
it sounds like
too.
you're just saying the same thing with a bunch more words that you said about the goblins, right? You don't want them all together. So,
That's true.
have we just arrived at the
Did
same
I work
point
my way back to
we're
the
at?
same conclusion?
Yeah.
Maybe. Probably, but I do feel like even the goblins are able to do more things. Like Sneaky Pete is a crusher and a damage dealer. Jack is a position guy who can also do a little bit of damage and some boons and blights. I think there's less overlap in what they can actually do, even though the rhythm, as you described it, which I think is smart, the rhythm is always the same with across the board with that origin. Where here, I think we get very different rhythms, but the effect is the same.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think I think that each of these guys wants to be in a team that's going to work with them, except for maybe
Yeah.
Finvar's
Yeah.
pretty all over the place. Oh well, he's not on this one, but
No. Yeah, so that's interesting. Huh. That they all want to combine like that. All right, so while we've got them out here, let's bring out some dwarves. How do we feel about the dwarves?
boring. I don't know. That's just me, and I know there's like a ton of Maxton fans out there.
Yeah,
Etc. But the dwarves just I don't know. They don't they seem, you know, uh
they'll do it for you.
eat your veggies or something, right? Like they're good, easy to plant, hard to kill. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
very frustrating playing into dwarves, but I find them just I don't know, a little white bread.
I think there
Me
are.
though. I just like the weird stuff. So
Yeah, I think they
I'll
are
take that
pretty.
announcement.
They tend to be pretty straightforward. Look what I've done. Pretty straightforward representations of their class.
Hmm.
Rodri in particular, I think, is the guardian.
Yep.
You know, and so all of them, like except Nia, I think Nia's the weirdest, and certainly Luella has her bizarre movement.
Yeah,
Uh,
I like Luella. I like that like zigzagging
you
lightning
do,
strike movement across there. Luella's one of my favorites. So all right, fine, Luella. I
you
take it.
saw. I've tricked you. Luella is my least favorite. Well, she's one of my least favorite champions. I don't know
So I
why.
know you actually resent playing Luella, and then you hate it when you have to play into her. But so why do you dislike
Great
Luella?
question. I don't really know. Something about her playstyle has never clicked with me, and maybe it's just that I've really crowded this board. Maybe it's just that
It's a
she's
party.
often killing me because she's good into a lot of people I like to play, and when I try to flip it around and use her, I'm never never pulling it off. So maybe I'm just bitter that she doesn't want to work for me. But something about it just never clicked for me. That the little splash damage thing she has on her attack is so very annoying against certain opponents and does nothing against others.
Oh yeah.
And I always seem to be on the receiving end of that.
Yeah. I mean
But
I like her
but I
because
do like you like her, and I like Maxon and Nia actually.
yeah. Maxon's passive is fucking great.
Pretty
It's
great.
probably one of the best passives in the game.
It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can go second in the clash on the plot phase and just pick somebody and ruin them and their banner.
Yep. Yep.
Uh, It's really nice.
I mean, it's just a really great passive. And it's a lot of fun. I think I like it when the characters themselves have a lot of chaos in them, and that means a lot
Mm-hmm.
of potential, which usually means a lot of movement, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
then that gives me a lot more options. Which lanes do I want to be in? Who do I want to attack?
Sure.
Who do I want to double team? What am I going to leave alone? Blah blah blah. And dwarves, by virtue of having less movement,
Uh-huh.
then just exponentially have less options, right? So, but
Sure.
Luella, because of that extra movement, because of her weird, +1 thing, and her ability to give out, so and because she can reach those two hexes away with her lightning,
Mm-hmm.
it gives her a lot more options, and then you feel like you can both threaten a lot of things. And I always like it when you're playing and you're really deep into the decision tree and you're trying to figure it all out. And then it's like, oh shit, the ray of light shines down on the battlefield, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I am a genius. Like, here it is. I can get to there. I can do this. Those and then your hopes are immediately dashed, or at least mine are
Yes.
usually. But but that feeling of, oh yeah, I didn't see that, I think is you get it more. That's the high I'm chasing, right? Is
Yeah,
like
right.
figuring it out. Like, oh yeah, great. Uh I think you get that more with more movement, more reach and things. That's why I like Skullbreaker. I think you can
True.
move through these things, and it's harder to block him. He can get to weird, surprising places.
That's
Also
true.
with his followers and all of this other stuff, because it's really hard to backstop him.
True. So I guess one unifying thing. So I guess a unifying thing about the dwarves would be that they all have different ways to get around their very slow movement.
Oh yeah,
They're
like
slow.
Rodriguez.
Except I think maybe him. I think he just leans into it. He's like, yeah, I'm slow and I just want to be here. Um, but everybody else has Maxon has range, and Nia has her like bonus move, action, and Luella, of course, has the speed boost. They all have ways to deal with it being slow, that they're not just slow, and they're all relatively sturdy. Even Nia, her followers are some of the highest armor followers.
I mean, that's
But
that's
how do you?
that's normal dwarf armor, right? Like, so her followers have the
They're
same
all
amount
they
of
all
armor.
have very hardy
Yeah,
followers.
yeah,
Yeah. Um,
and the same as the shield maidens. The only one that's
sure.
different is the Gearhawks.
I guess that's true. So would you take this team? Do you like this team's odds? Uh, all four
You got
dwarves.
several teams happening on the board.
Four dwarves.
Oh no, I would not. Be- And I'm not even saying that it's not good or well-rounded. It's just no, thank you.
Yeah.
It's so annoying and frustrating to have to move and march, and then you go two, and you're just like, you're huffing and puffing, and like, well, I guess I'll see you in the clash phase of, round two. Don't worry, just wait up
I'll
for
get
us.
there. I'll get
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Like,
The turn one
yeah,
dwarf following everybody. That's true.
yeah. I mean,
Bringing up the
it's
rear.
just like that scene from Lord of the Rings,
Yes.
and they're like crossing the thing, and what's his name? He's just
Uh,
like, doors are deadly over
Gimli.
short
Yeah.
distances. Gimli, yeah, there you go. So, I mean,
That's good.
very true.
That's good. That's mechanics
Would you take
going
that?
hand in hand with lore. Not my favorite. I could see it. I do. I think Maxon's super strong. Rodri is just the Guardian's Guardian. And depending on the scenarios you get, I think you could do it because you are getting damage and banner, and so like some crushing with Luella. So I think it's possible.
With
I put them
using
probably in like
Luella
a
as the
mid.
crusher
I put them
is
as like
that
a mid power team. I think
who do you put below them?
below them, I would still put goblins below them, and I would put
Even though
un,
even though in these
even though
scenarios
they
we
did.
played, the dwarves got crushed by the goblins.
I know. I'm betting against my own experience, which is dumb.
We've learned nothing.
I've learned nothing. When have I ever? The I think I'll put the Revenants. I'll put their odds lower, and this is leaving player ability out of it, just in a
Obviously,
vacuum. So yeah, I think I would put the dwarves fairly low. What about humans? What
I
about
like the
people?
humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I think in terms of the humans, you have like Titus is really good. But they're also sort of humans actually feel a lot like humans in the D&D races. You get a bunch of extra points and stuff like this. You're not loaded into one category or the other like elves or halflings or something like this.
More of a
I
blank
think
slate.
yeah, they do a lot of things. A lot of sort of jack of all trades type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think Titus is great like that. But I think Blackjaw does what Titus does, but better. I mean, I prefer
Yeah,
Blackjaw to Titus. You like Titus, but
I do like Titus. I feel like they're kind of like a yin and yang, where Titus wants to do a lot of damage in like a tight circle, tight area. Blackjaw wants to just spread it out more. It's kind of more scenario dependent, but they definitely play similar, I think.
yeah,
But yeah, I like Titus. I think he's super strong depending what's going on. I think Kira is obviously really strong, which we haven't talked through who this would be. It's those two. It's Shale and it's Helena.
Helena.
We are not fans of Helena,
Except for in
but
construction, where she's
except
really
for
good.
where she's suddenly excellent.
Ugh.
But yeah, that's a strong list. Kira is good in a lot of places. I
Yeah.
think your weakness is overall is going to be crushing, uh, because nobody's particularly fast, and nobody has any sort of like a speed boost mechanic. Uh, there's Roar of Battle,
Yeah.
with the
Roar of battle.
Glory Seekers. You can move a champion in the plot phase one hex. But outside of that, you're not really moving yourself any extra. So everybody's relatively
Helena
slow. I
does
think
have
it's
it.
plot phase.
Helena has
She
shield push,
has
and then lead the charge.
lead the charge. That's true. So I guess you're gonna get some decent plot phase movement, but I think everybody's 2-2 in the clash.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
once they get out of position, it's tough to.
yes, which is not, it can be avoided. But yeah, I think this team, I would love this team on construction. I think it'd be
Take this team over the Dwarf team on construction.
on construction. I think I would, just because overall I like these characters better. I prefer to play these ones, but um, just in terms of ability, that's a good question. I think I would, um, because there is a bit more crushing power here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that scenario rewards a lot of follower control, and I think that's the thing, a universal trait across all the humans is having a fair amount of control over their followers.
Can you define that for me?
Yes, they have skills or passives that connect them to their followers more than a lot of other champions. For example, all of Kira's damage is done through the dragons, so you want to keep them within a certain radius of her. Helena can move her followers, and they get their passive kicks in only when they're close to her. There's a lot of champion follower interaction. Of course, Shale and Landslide, probably the most
Yeah.
interconnected champion and follower.
But
I think that's
that can be
a
very
trait across the
exploited
humans.
though. And
Oh, of
once you
course, there can
separate
be a weakness, but I think
that
I'm just
is a
saying that's
weakness,
good in
I
that
think.
scenario.
You know, sort of how
That's
we
true.
talked about the
There.
monsters being pretty independent.
Hmm.
Uh, I feel like if you can separate, if you can push Kira even out of her dragon's range, or you can separate,
That's
but
true.
once you can separate Shale and Landslide, you can really fuck up Landslide's day.
Right. So overall, they would be
Who
weak
did we
to.
watch? Somebody did that with Mournblade and just put Shale or Landslide down in the like lower right
Just
hand corner,
trapped
and
him.
Shale was up. Yeah, I think it was on Quest. It was
Yeah.
some of the Crow games that I watched, and it just, man, you can just see how helpless
Yeah.
Shale
Once you
is.
get them apart, it's
Yeah,
pretty rough.
yeah.
Um,
Landside couldn't do
that's true.
anything.
So if you're able to separate them or harvest the followers with maelstroms, that's going to be a good counterplay into the human origin overall. But I think it's a strong one. Uh,
Yeah.
there's and Shale is great, Kira is great, and yeah, I think this one could go far. I'd probably put this one a little. I put them above dwarves and goblins and undead. Uh, Probably right about there. Maybe third place, maybe fourth place.
Yeah.
You know,
I think so. I think that when you're drafting, like, if you're drafting for a tournament or something like this, what you want is you want flexibility so that your team can deal with whatever scenarios it is that you end
right?
up and whoever you end up facing, right? So that's why you sort of, you go for multicolor stuff, you blah blah blah, all this other stuff. I think that some of the problems in some of these races is they don't give you a lot of flexibility,
Right.
even though they do adhere to their different classes. There's not a ton of like flex on that.
Yes.
Uh, but I think the humans are actually pretty decently flexible
Yeah.
for a lot of that.
Yeah.
You know,
There's some damage.
cover a
There's
lot
some
of.
banner. Yeah. Some control.
Hmm.
You've got options.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think the weakness is definitely crushing.
Yes,
You're
for
gonna have
sure.
to send Kira out there to do it, and she's pretty frail.
That's true.
No.
Uh, all right. So let's move on. How about our other favorite fantasy creature, orcs?
I like the orcs, but
You
that's we
do?
poison them. Yeah, you know it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I think this is a strong one.
I'll just have to change my handle to like Mr. Skullbreaker or something. I love Skullbreaker. I just think he's so fun. Um, yeah. So
He's good. And then, of course, you're going to get Skullbreaker, you're going to get Blackjaw, you're going to get Rattlebone. And then this is one of the two unfinished origins. The fourth blue orc has yet to surface. So that would be an open slot. Okay, so if you're taking Skullbreaker, Blackjaw, and Rattlebone, who are you picking as your fourth? Who's your stand-in guardian?
well, I think from just who would they invite to a dinner party standpoint,
Sure.
I feel like
If you're trying to keep with
Half
the
Tusk
lore.
would really fit in. I mean, he basically looks like an orc, you know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. He's a troll.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Orcs, trolls, living together, Uh,
Uh,
so I think he'd be able to fit in with like a lot of the grunting and throwing bones on the floor,
sure.
which I assume would happen at any Skullbreaker dinner party. But
Yeah. He retains the
and
orc vibe.
he does. But I also think that you have to somehow make up for just how weak Rattlebone is gonna be. So
Yeah.
you probably want to take somebody that can do a little bit more damage. So if I'm trying to win or something, I guess I would take Finvar, I think.
Okay.
Um, because I think he can do a decent amount of damage. He can move things. His ult is really good. It's a good, interesting threat to keep. He's good in different scenarios. His followers are pretty good. He makes up for some of the lameness of Rattlebone.
Yeah,
That's my take.
I like it.
What about you?
Yeah. Okay. So what we've got is overall this is a fast origin. They've got a lot. I think it's 3-2 movement across the board, and they've got a strong amount of damage, and they've got some decent area control. So I think we're surprised. We're lacking a guardian. What you're lacking is banners. So I actually might, because speed is covered, I actually might go somebody like Rodri, uh, who's just gonna just take control an area and let everybody else run around, and then have that banner ball ult in your back pocket for when you can't crush enough. Yeah, I think. Plus, these guys are overall dodgy. Rattlebone's got the 3-3 defense stat, I think, which is deceptively good. Because it's just enough dodge and just enough armor to be annoying on both fronts. But overall, there's nobody heavily armored. So yeah, I think I might go Rodri.
Yeah, that's pretty smart because any team that's going to be good into the high dodge is going to be bad into the
Right.
high armor. So that's smart. I can see that. I would buy that.
Thank you. So yeah, fast, good amount of damage across the board. Even Rattlebone, when it hits, does a strong amount of damage for a Shaper. Not that her followers don't do anything in terms of damage, but and then relatively high health pools as well. These guys are kind of hard to take down as a group. And I like them. I think they're fun to play. I would run this team.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, this is the team that basically won, right?
Yeah, they were near the top. I think they were not in the final, were they?
The monsters.
They weren't. The monsters won, but not the orcs, right?
Not the orcs, right?
Right. No, I think they were. They almost made the final. I think they won 1 or 2.
Yeah.
It was a single elimination bracket. We never clarified that. We just had them each play each other once, and they didn't quite make it to the end. But yeah, I think a strong win. I would put these guys near the top, just in terms of sheer chances.
What are your power rankings then?
What are my power rankings? I think I would put the monsters probably at the top. Under that, I feel strongly that the elves or woodland one is quite strong. That's going to be Finvar, Lily, Kaelin, and Lorsan.
Yeah.
That's coincidentally that's what I signed up for the Clash of Origins tournament. I think those two.
If you think that monsters are stronger, why did you sign up for the elf team?
Because I want to play the elves.
Fair enough.
But I also, well, I'll 2 parts. I think that I think that I think the elves are a good team. I don't think we've really talked about them too much overall. They are able to cover multiple bases the way some of the others aren't. Like Finvar and Lily combined is a really strong banner game. And then you can let Kaelin or Lorsan run wild to cover your damage. They can Finvar and Lily can both flex into either like running and crushing or castling. And there's plenty of like ways to do additional movement between Lily, Kaelin, Lorsan. I think they bring you a lot of options. Mm-hmm. They are going to be dodge dependent in term for not getting killed, and some more like stand your ground scenarios are going to be a little bit harder for them, especially like Kaelin is obviously not going to be useful everywhere. But I think they've got a really good chance, and I just think they're fun to play. Lily and Finvar are individually two of my favorites, just in terms of enjoying. So that's what I
Finbar
grabbed.
is one of your old school favorites.
Yeah, I think he was my original favorite, and I've just hung on to him.
Wait, was he in your original
the first
game that you
starter
bought?
box. First game I ever played was Finvar.
Adorable.
Yeah, it's pretty.
A
love story for the ages. He's great. Look at us. I think they're strong. I think monsters are also strong. Here's my thing. I think, one-on-one, I think elves would beat monsters. And I don't think that match came up in our bracket.
Let me look here.
Please check my work.
It did. It actually was the first game elves and
Well, I'm immediately lying. Never mind. I should have checked.
And the elves beat the monsters or the monsters beat
beat.
the elves
Well,
right off
I'm
the break.
completely talking out of my ass.
Because you were playing the elves, and you played the elves, and I played the monsters. And then
Well,
the
you know
next round, I played humans, you played monsters, and the monsters won. And then goblins, monsters, and I played monsters in the final, and the monsters won.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Here's my new excuse. That was pre-Lily.
It's true.
Lily changes the game.
It's all different now.
Yeah, that's right. This time it'll really work. But yeah, I think they're good and they're fun. I think that covers it. Did we talk about everybody?
I think so.
In a very haphazard way, I think we did.
We're sort of haphazard type of people.
You're not wrong. Great. So that's kind of our very sloppy overview of the origins, the races within Godtear, and some of our thoughts. I'll be really interested to see how this tournament goes, how it compares to the bracket you and I did. I think we can post that. We actually made a little bracket. I can post that when we post this.
Very official of us.
Yes.
Look at how not haphazard that is. What are we, adults?
Are we?
Are we spreadsheeting our hobbies? Oh no.
That's when you're really when you're spreadsheeting your hobbies, you've done something right.
My brother has that for World of Warcraft for like all the loot rolls and stuff for his guild.
Man.
I'm like, Joe, by the time you're writing Google Sheet formulas to do this,
someone
should be paying you. This can't be fun anymore.
I'm bringing too many office skills to this hobby.
Exactly. Well, just before we sort of sign off here or whatever, I wanted to ask you, as the creator and runner, what you felt, because you just finished your Ascended pool. Dope name, by the way, too.
Oh, thank you.
Man, your writing chops are showing.
Ascended Arena.
Great. Ascended Arena. Yeah, I loved it.
Thank you.
So how did you feel about that?
Yeah, it was an idea I had a while back, just for a format when I think not too long after Crow Draft was out. I really liked that. I still like that. That's probably my favorite tournament format. But around that time, I was like, what else can we do? What else can we play with? How can you make the interesting choices of this game more interesting, or lean into that? And that was just something I came up with, where your pool would shrink over time. To hopefully kind of, I thought of it as making champion picks work kind of the way alts work, where you're making a really deliberate choice, like I'm going to spend this now, and then you don't get it back.
Fascinating.
That's kind of where that came from. And I had it kind of bubbling for a while, and there was an opening, so I thought I'd force the world to try it out. Yeah, I think it went pretty well overall. I don't think, I was afraid it could be confusing at first, and I also thought it might be a bit of a slow burn, kind of a boring start, because the first game you aren't reduced at all. So I was afraid people might be turned off by it pretty quickly. But no, I think what I hoped would be fun about it turned out to be fun about it overall. I did do I put up a little survey you may have seen on the Discord, just to get some thoughts on it from the players. Pretty positive overall, so happy about that. A lot of people did say they didn't love the drafting format, and I can see why.
What didn't they like about the drafting format?
Because I used the 1-2-2-1 draft in terms of how many champions you pick, and I like that format because it makes you lock into what your team is going to be pretty quickly. If I know that you've got a shaper and a slayer, you've only got so many options for that third slot, and I can already start to predict where you're leaning. And I think having to do that like commitment to like this is my strategy, doubled up with but now I'm spending this champion and I can never build this exact strategy again. I thought that was interesting when I was tinkering with it. People kind of liked it, but a lot of people thought that it also favored the second player too much. Basically, just favored the last pick too much, which I can absolutely see that argument. And they thought that it might be, I guess, just an alternating draft would be more interplay, and with the limited pools, and since the limited pool is the point, that might be more interesting. So were I to do this again, I would definitely try it with a different drafting format, probably an alternating pick, but I haven't decided yet. I would definitely change it up though, just to see what happens.
Would you do anything in the vein of, okay, the normal sort of 5 draft, ban, drop, and then just say, hey, whoever you ban or drop, doesn't count towards that. It's only the people that see the table.
Right. That is something that I a little bit started going down that road mentally at the top, like before I was starting the tournament, but that felt like too many wrinkles.
Mm-hmm.
Like this counts against your pool, but this doesn't, but this does. That was going to raise a lot of questions immediately. I felt like, so I was trying to keep it pretty simple, other than the key wrinkle of the pool ranking.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I'm just
you know,
laughing because, part of me is like, what? That's so simple. Who could not keep track of this? And then I'm laughing because it never fails, period, that every single time I play any tournament, I
you got
always
to double check.
forget what the fuck is up with
Yep.
whoever wins the first dice roll. Do you have to go first? Can you choose? Can you like not do
It
this?
varies.
I never fucking know. So, as much as I'm like, what? Everybody will be fine with that. They're a bunch of smart people. I'm also like, okay, I've rolled higher. Now what
Now
happens?
what? Yep.
No idea. I hope someone here has read the rules.
So I was
So
trying to
yeah, I feel you for that.
I was trying to limit the bears. I could like it could be interesting. I could see maybe an argument because the other thing that was mentioned several times, which I agree with, was these games kind of get more interesting the longer it goes, because you're always shedding champions from your pool, so your second game is going to be less complex than your fifth game. So if you can keep it going longer, you get more complications, but you can't run a tournament that you can't run like a 7 week tournament. Really, you need a lot of players. People get bored. So what if we did do it 5-1-3, but all of your 5 got removed?
Dang, that's so rough. That's awful. That actually feels
Yeah,
bad.
but in like a fun way. So I thought that crossed my mind, but like I said, I wanted to keep it as streamlined for this one as I could. Um, but yeah, I'm happy with it, and the players overall seemed pretty positive about it. So I'm definitely going to tinker with it. I'm definitely going to shift some things around, but I'll probably do it again at some point. I don't want to run it into the ground, and there are certainly other tournaments to be played.
I love it. I think that it forces you into like really weird scenarios. It's also it if we just continue with Sam's idea of interesting decisions, it really does give you a lot of interesting decisions even on a meta level where you can say,
Hmm.
okay, I want to bring one of my favorites here and one garbage person that I think I can cover with because I got to get Rattlebone out of the fucking way, or Helena. Oh, good, it's a construction, blah blah blah. I'll get Helena out of my draft. I'll use her up. So I think it overall gives you, like, it does exactly what you wanted it to do, which was you have to use champions like alts.
Right.
So I think that's super fun. I think that the reason that I'm like, oh, I hate this idea of, losing all 5 of them is if you think of the game as also, like if I'm chasing that high of that feeling of like finding something, or
Right.
like feelings of these dopamine hits basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh Pulling in some and then getting one, if it's a guy that you like, banned, or you can drop
Yeah.
it, save it for later. It's actually like a nice roller coaster of like, ooh, I hope I get to play with them. Ooh, I hope I get to keep them. And it sort of goes this like back and forth there. And then as opposed to, well, fuck it. Now they just banned Skullbreaker. I'm never gonna get to play him. And now I'm just
Never,
sort of
ever,
like
yeah.
insulting. Like I'm salty because I didn't even get to use him
Right.
and I
It
drafted him,
it becomes very brutal
Yeah,
very
so
quickly.
I'd just be like cranky because you just like teasing me,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
You would have to be. It's just mutually assured destruction that, like, nobody's going to play Kaylin the whole tournament. She's
Mhm.
going to get banned out of existence.
Right. But that's why it could really lead to very different teams because maybe someone says, "Hey, I'm gonna let you keep Kaylin in this game. I'm not gonna have Kaylin in the finals because otherwise Kaylin makes it. If you play all the way through everybody,
Right.
maybe Kaylin always makes it to the final. I don't know.
See, yeah, see, that's why it's interesting. So,
Hip pocket her.
yeah, that's true. Um, yeah, so overall, I should ask, did you like it? Did you have any
I did. I
strong?
liked it. I liked it a lot. I didn't play the last 2 games
Yeah.
though, because both my opponents
Your opponent's dropped.
couldn't do
Right.
it. Yeah. And I dragged Marty through what might have been the most uh elongated game of Godtear, taking place over several locales. I
Oh,
drove up to my parents' house in Binghamton. We started playing there, but then I had to go. We ended up in 5 rounds.
oh my God.
But then we were also trekking across the country in a U-Haul with that reclaimed wood. And so then I had to try to plot out a place on fucking Father's Day, and we went into a restaurant, like a
Oh
rooftop
my God.
restaurant in Erie, and I had to be like, "Hey, do you guys have Wi-Fi?" And they're like, "No." So I
Oh
had to
my God.
hotspot my phone,
What?
find a place to plug in. Yes, I know, I look like such a dweeb,
This is
but I
dedicated.
also this is also me. You know, it's always nice to hear like, yeah, yeah, whatever. I'm such an individual. It's fine. I literally lied to the wait staff. I was like, oh, I have a work thing.
Oh my God.
I have to get on, right? Because I can't. I just don't have enough self confidence, I guess, to be like, hey, just adjust my glasses. I'm in this tournament.
Deal
No
with.
big deal. So it's a round 5. I really need to do this.
Amazing.
So, so poor Marty had a lot of patience with me on that, but it was great, and I had a great game with Sam too.
Hmm.
So I liked it a lot, but
I believe that's on
unfortunately,
the channel.
because I didn't get to play those last
Right.
2 games,
The
I didn't get to find I didn't get to the weird shit,
the
which is
full
where I
impact. Yeah.
love. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I want the weird shit. I want
Yeah.
to both play against it and play it. So yeah.
True. True.
So, but other than that, I love it, and I think you should run the 6-week tournament. That'd be fun.
Maybe. I mean, part of it was you would need more players to do that in a Swiss pairs format. But you could change it to a round robin or something.
Yeah, you could do it.
It can be done. But yeah, we'll. Like I said, I will
Also,
continue to tweak it, and it will resurface at some point.
I think you did an amazing job with admin, with
Oh,
everybody's little pictures there
thank you.
in the Discord. My God, I'm super impressed.
I figured out how to copy and paste
Look at
at a
you.
high level.
I mean, just tell me where to send the paycheck, man.
Yeah, I'll take that. All right. I think we'll call it there. So yeah, so that's our rambling discussions of origins and tournaments and what have you. Thanks for listening. We'll call it there. I'm Dice Tam. She's MrFishopolis. This is Godtear ATX. Keep Godtear weird. See you later.